Hey everybody, welcome back to Pushing Pixels. I'm your host, Sam Mestis. Today we're going to do this Jurassic Park graphic. I believe this was in a Photoshop user quite a while ago. I don't remember if it was a Felix project, if it was a Corey Barker project, but it doesn't matter. We do it in my advanced Photoshop class, and so this is for them so they can go back and watch, but you're welcome to enjoy as well. And let's quit screwing around and get started. We're going to start with this image right here. It's this broken up concrete background, and we're going to make a pattern out of it. So let's do that. Let's go up to Edit, Define Pattern right there. Click on that, and I'm going to name it just Concrete Background. There we go. And hit OK. And that's it. Pattern has been defined. It is now in my PAT file, and I'm going to close this. I don't need it anymore. I have another file that I've already started, and I don't actually need that right now, and I don't need that. What I do need, though, is the paths that are built into it. And we're going to start off with this path right here. This is a predefined path, and I'm going to hold down my Command key. But before I do that, I forgot to turn on my keystroke visualizer. Let me turn that, and let's close that, and I don't need that either. Sorry, Facebook. All right, so we got that path selected. Actually, we got two paths. We have this one with this T-Rex and this one. We'll start right here. I'm going to hold down my Command key next to the space bar and click this little icon over here on the layers, and that's going to build a selection for me. And I'm going to go to my layers palette now that I got my selection. I'm going to go back to my layers, and on a brand new layer, I am going to I'm going to name this background. Actually, I'm just going to name it like circle. How about that? There you go. You can see the keystrokes down there. And I'm going to fill this with 50% gray. So on my new layer, my new blank layer that says circle, I got my path selected, obviously. I'm going to hit Shift-Delete, and I'm going to bring up the fill palette and make sure it says 50% gray, and I will click OK, and there we go. It is filled. Now, don't deselect yet, because we need this selection. We're going to build a little bezel around this selection, so it's got a frame around it. We're going to frame it. And how we're going to do that is, since it's still selected, we're going to go to Select, Modify, Contract, if you will, and hit 25. That seems like a good number. All right, 25, and if I click OK, you're going to watch the boundary or the selections that move in 25 full pixels. So hit OK, and there it is, 25 full pixels. Not too bad. Unfortunately, it has the inside of this thing selected, and I need the outside selected. So we have to inverse selection. And there's two ways to do that. You can go to Select up here and hit Inverse. There it is right there, which I'll do. Or you can hit Command-Shift-I. Either way will get you there. But now it has the opposite selected, and in this case, it has the outer rim of this circle element selected. And I'm going to hit Command-J, and that'll copy that selection to a brand new layer. And there it is. There's my frame. Not too bad, right? And there's my rim, and there's my frame. All right, now we need to sort of add some elements to this, make it sort of look real. So I'm going to turn off the rim for a second and just concentrate on this guy right here. I'm going to double-click the layer and bring up the Layer Styles palette, and we are going to add that pattern that we just added. There it is. It will be in your pull-down down here. I already got two of them. Interesting. So I got two of them, but you can use just use the one you made. All right, and since I got that, I'm going to move it over just a little bit, and I'm going to make sure the scale is set to 150. 150 for the scale, everybody. All right, not too bad, or a little bit higher, 150-ish, probably not below 150. All right, not too bad. Okay, let's move on now to the rim, because we have got to, I'm going to turn it on. There you go, so you can see it now. And the first thing we're going to do is double-click this layer. We need to add some bevel effects and all sorts of things to make this thing stand out a little bit more. Sorry, I need to look at my notes here that I wrote. So give me a second. All right, so we got that. So we're working on this rim layer here, right? I'm going to leave the bottom on though. We're going to double-click that on our rim layer there, or bezel. And we are going to pick Pattern Overlay, and it's going to lay the exact pattern over. And you can see they're all lined up. So I'm just going to reach into the canvas a little bit and slide it over and around just a little bit so they don't exactly line up. And it's a little bit more different. There it is. Perfect. All right, let's go to Bevel Emboss. All right, so what we're going to do on the Bevel Emboss is we are going to build this up. You can see it's already going pretty nice there. So we're going to go to an inner bevel. We're going to go to chisel hard right there. Okay. Set your depth to 500. All right. And you can see what's happening right there. 500 for the depth. And we're going to set the size to 13. It's going to be pretty aggressive. All right. Angle at 54. 16 for the altitude. Overlay and multiply are just going to be set to 75. Leave those at default. All right, not too bad. And you can see we get a nice hard edge chisel here, looking pretty good. Let's add a texture too. So let's go back to this. Let's click this little texture icon, right? And you can see it kind of stipples it a little bit and makes it look kind of interesting. We're going to use that same texture. I think we're going to use that same texture, right? Let's try it. What the heck? But we need to scale this down a bit. Depth 100 is way... you can see it kind of gives it this sort of bumpy effect. And I kind of would like to get that a little bit lower. How about we use something like 5? Let's see what 10 looks like. 10's a little bit aggressive. Maybe... let's try 8. And you can see if you turn it on and off, you can see kind of what it's doing. It gives it a nice sort of gravelly, stone-like texture to it. And that is pretty good. Let's drop a shadow real quick since we're here. We need to drop an inner shadow so to give us a little bit of depth. That's not too bad already. Looking pretty good there. I'm probably going to go with 85 looks good. Let's do that. And 14 looks pretty good. Actually, this whole thing looks pretty good. 14 and 7. Yeah, let's use this. So we got our distance at 14, our size at 7, our speed, don't worry about your spread, I mean, at 0. And that's not too bad. And look at, we're already looking pretty good here. All right, I'm going to click OK. I think that looks pretty nice. And you can see since we move the patterns around, it works a little bit better. Not too bad. All right, the other thing I want to do is I kind of want to chip away at this stone a bit because it's a little bit too nice, and I kind of want to give it a... I'm going to turn this background on since I have it here. I kind of want to give the stone a little bit of a broken rock, like it's been hit or chipped, or it's been there for a long time and it's aged. So we're going to get into the brush engine a little bit. I'm going to turn off properties as well. All right, so we're still on this layer here on our rim layer, and we're going to go to the brush tool. B for brush, and we're looking for a stock brush called, I think it's called Spatter 46. It's in the original. It's in the default brushes. It's called Spatter 46, and it says 46. And I'm going to click that guy. And then we're going to go over to the brush engine, which I have right here. If you don't have the brush engine over here, you can click Window and hit Brush, and there it is for you. The brush engine allows you to do a lot of great things. It allows you to modify an existing brush and mostly modify its behavior, how it spreads, how it paints, what it does, color, opacity, all sorts of things. We're just going to keep this super light, nothing too crazy. So we're going to start by using, let's change the spacing first of all. If you hit brush tip shape right here, you're going to get this dialog box, and I'm going to drag the spacing slider all the way up to about, let's say 75, 74 or 75, somewhere around there, mid 70s. All right, then I'm going to click brush shapes. And I'm going to drag the size jitter all the way up to 100, and you can see what's going on already. It's already tells you right there what's going on. And then I'm going to drag the angle jitter all the way up to 100. Angle jitter is going to spin the brush around every time you paint. It turns the brush tip around, which is pretty cool. And that's about it. We're not going to touch anything else, just these two shape dynamics. Everything else is set to 0. I'm going to turn fade off because I'm using a mouse here. You could turn that on depending on if you're using a tablet or not. I'm just not using mine today. I don't technically need it. And that's all I want. Size jitter at 100, angle jitter at 100, everything else off, nothing else on. I have smoothing on, but it doesn't really matter in this case. Okay, I'm going to close that. And now I have this brush. So here's what we're going to do. Sizing up my brush a little bit. First thing we got to do is reset our colors from black to the foreground, white. If they're not, you can hit the D key and it'll reset your colors. And I'm going to put a mask on this rim layer that we have here. We need a mask on it so if this is going to happen. So I'm going to go down here with the square, the circle in it, and click mask, and that will add a mask to my layer over here. All right. So make sure there are brackets around it. If there are brackets around this, you're not painting on the mask, you're painting on the image. We want to paint on the mask. So make sure you have your brackets around there. Just click on that mask. All right, with black as our foreground color, now we're going to start painting on this rim a little bit. And, oh, black is my foreground color, duh. And I'm going to just randomly click around, and you can see the brush will size up and get small, and we're going to start chipping away at the stone a little bit, all the way around the rim. I like to make sure. Now I don't want to go too crazy. I do want some aspects of this bevel to show a little bit. I don't want to get too nuts, but you can also size up your brush and size it down if you need to with the bracket keys here. All right, and I'm just going to go around a little bit, and I'm going to chip away at this edging just so it looks a little bit damaged. Ooh, that one's kind of a bit much, but pretty cool there. Let's maybe take off that corner a little bit. All right, I'm going to go with that. That actually looks pretty good. Awesome. Looking pretty good, everybody. Let's continue forward. Actually, that came out really well. I'm happy with that quite a bit. All right, let's do. Let's add another layer on top of your above your rim layer there. I'm going to just click my new layer button down there. Come on, there you go. And if we go back to our paths, you can see we have this. I need to turn that off so you can see it. We have this T-Rex path with this banner underneath it, and we need to fill that too. So go to your new layer. There you go. I'm actually going to call it T-Rex. How about that? T-Rex. There we go. Trex. I'm going to go to my paths again, and I'm going to hold down my control key and click that path with the dinosaur on it and get a selection set going. Let's go back to my layer that I just made, my T-Rex layer. I'm going to turn these off so you can see it. I'm on my T-Rex layer. Again, I'm going to shift delete, and I'm going to fill with gray. Not too bad. Now we can deselect, Command D will deselect. We don't need that anymore. All right. So now we have to add all that garbage in that we did before in the background. But here's what we're going to do. We're actually going to use the existing text effects from another layer. You can steal effects from layers and put them on other layers. And in this case, we're going to use the effects we used on the rim for this T-Rex as well. And then we'll just make some small adjustments. So if you hold down your Alt key, or Alt Option key, you can drag that effects icon on the layer right there where it says effects. You can drag that up and drop it on another layer just like that. Pretty cool. I'll do it again. This little effects icon, you have to hold down your Alt Option key. Do not let go. Drag it up, and there it is. Not too bad. Yeah, steal an effect. You can also steal just one effect. If you just wanted to steal one, you can just take one. But we want that. But that bevel is a little extreme. It's too extreme. So why don't we double click that T-Rex layer and bring up the Layer Styles box and go to Bevel Emboss. And I think we should probably take this size down to maybe 7, maybe more like 3. Yeah, let's do it at 3. 3's pretty good. 3 is not too bad. All right, that's looking pretty good. The shadow concerns me a bit. Let's go down to drop shadow, and maybe we change that distance to 10. It's a little bit much, if you ask me. All right, here's what we're going to do now. We're also going to put a mask on that. All right, on our T-Rex layer. Let's go down here and put a mask. And we're going to go back to our brush tool because it's still set up, and we're going to chip away at this thing a little bit. And I might actually use a little bit bigger brush for this. Just randomly chip away at this. Get the dinosaur in there. Maybe take off the tip of his nose a little bit, right? And just do some chipping away. Not too bad on the corner. There we go. And you can see the brush is kind of janky, but my heart's in the right place. All right, so let's keep that for now. And we're looking pretty good. We are actually looking real good. All right, we have to add the text. This is going nice and fast. I have text I gave you, folks. It says Jurassic Planet. I'm going to drag it up to the top there. Looks like that. And not too bad, right? Guess what we're going to do? We're going to steal the effects again from the T-Rex layer, and we're going to put it on our Jurassic Planet layer here. So again, hold down your Alt-Option key and drag that effects icon right there up one layer, and there you go. And we need to fix the bevel and boss a little bit. It's a little bit wonky. All right. So let's try that. Double click the layer palette and let's bring that up. Bevel and boss is a little bit abrasive, so let's bring it down. Let's bring it down to 1. All right. I don't know why it's so bright though. Pattern overlay. Why is that thing so bright? It's crazy. Yeah, that'll work. We'll use it for now. It's bright because we don't have a pattern overlay on it, do we? Yes, we do. Weird. Why would it be that bright? I want to find out why it's that bright. Negative. Okay. Pattern overlay. I don't know why it's so damn bright. Turn the drop shadow off. By the way, we're going to make our own drop shadow. Don't know why it's so bright, but we will figure it out, I suppose. Inner bevel, pattern overlay. Oh, because it's in pattern overlay. All right, we'll figure it out. I wonder if it's because I forgot to fill it with gray. That's why I forgot to fill it with gray. There we go. That looks a little bit better. I'm going to move the pattern over just a little bit so they don't line up exactly. All right. The deal was I hadn't filled the planet with gray. That's why it was so it was in white already. That's why. So let's turn that on. That'll be better. All right. We can barely see it, and that's because we're gonna do this really weird command that's in Photoshop. That we did in class. It's a little wonky, but we'll figure it out. And it's called step and repeat. So let's do the step and repeat command. We're going to make our own drop shadow. I can easily hit a drop shadow and add one, but I want to add sort of a special drop shadow to it. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hold down our command key and click the text icon where it says Jurassic Planet. Because I want a new layer underneath. All right, selection set. Underneath your Jurassic Planet, put a blank layer underneath there. Okay? And because you have it selected, we can fill that selection with black. So in this case, black is my foreground color. I'm going to hit Alt-Delete, and it is going to fill it with black. Now you can't see it because of the text on top, but there it is. All right? So we have our text on top and our black text below. All right? Don't let me lose you here. So text on top here, our Jurassic Planet text, and then a copy of it that's completely black below it. Okay, that's really the shadow, S-H-A-D-O-W. And that's what's going to be our shadow. And we're going to use a special command called step and repeat. So here's how step and repeat goes. First of all, it's nowhere in the menus. It's nowhere to be found. It's only in the coding. And it's basically a glorified free transform. Here's how it goes. We are going to hit, I need to look at my notes. Here's the deal with this. I never use this command, and then every time I do need to use it, I have to go back and look on how to do it. I believe it is it Option Shift? It is Option Command T. All right, so Option Command T, hold on, Option and Command and hit T, and it's going to bring up a sort of fake version of the free transform. You can see your free transform box around it with the handles. Here's what's next. Once you hit Option Command T, you need to hit your down arrow once and your left arrow once. And then hit your return key. The command is still active. You're still in this command, but if you do anything else now, you're done. Don't do that. The command is still running. This is where we're going to do the step and repeat now. So now if you hit Shift, Option, Command at the same time, and then hit T 10 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get a nice drop shadow. It's sort of depthy, lit from the right side drop shadow. Looks pretty good. It did build a bunch of extra layers over here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to select all those layers, make sure they're all selected, and hit Command E and just collapse them to one layer. And there's your drop shadow right there. Step and repeat is pretty slick. I'm going to turn the opacity down on this a little bit, maybe to 85. And it's a little hard edged. I'm going to blur it by 1 pixel. Blur, Gaussian blur, 1 full pixel. There, softens it up quite a bit. Looking pretty good. All right, everybody. Believe it or not, we're close to done. Let's sort of light this a little bit different. We gotta sort of light this off a little bit. First things first, I'm gonna go to this circle layer in the background. I'm gonna double click it and I'm gonna add a gradient overlay. And you can see kind of what the gradient overlay does. It kind of gives it a little bit of grunge. I have it set really weird. I have it set to overlay first of all, black to white gradient, reflected. That's why the black is on both sides there. And I have the scale down to like 26. All right, so it's not too bad. And that's what gives me that sort of white band in the middle. All right. Not too bad. I could also, if I wanted to, I could also level this down a bit. There's not much there to level, though. We'll leave it for now. Let's go to the rim, the bezel there, and we're going to do sort of the same thing. We're going to double click that and add a gradient overlay, and it's going to do the last one that it had. So we're going to use the same gradient overlay. A lot better, making it a little bit more grungy, kind of darkening up these areas a little bit, making it look pretty nice. I'm going to click OK, and let's go to the T-Rex and add a gradient overlay. Let's see how that looks. A little bit better too. This is actually working out really well. I have it set to, they're all the same ones. All the gradients are the same ones. Overlay, black to white gradient, angle 34, reflected, 26 for scale. I'm using the same one on all 3 of those layers. Let's go to the text, the Jurassic Planet one, and see how that looks. Not that great. Let's go to 90 and spread this out a little bit. There we go. That one's a little, we're going to use a little bit different one on this. I actually want a white band to sort of go all the way across the Jurassic Planet logo right here. And you could see how that works. If I tighten it up, you can see the white band there, but I'm going to spread it out a little bit. And maybe to, you could set your scale to 100. That looks pretty good. So I got I angle at 90, my scale to 100. Same settings as before, overlay 100. And that kind of gives us a really, really cool look. Not too bad. Okay, everybody. Let me see how this looks behind on that stone. I have a stone wall here. We don't necessarily even have to use it. But we can. I have this concrete wall. I'm actually going to level this up. I'm going to bring the blacks up a little bit and make it a little grungier. So I'm going to go to my levels command. Let me do that again. Command L. You can see down there. I'm going to bring the blacks over a little bit and make it a little bit more grungy. Just sort of bring the whites up. There's my histogram, so that's kind of where I'm working here. Slide the grays over just a little bit. Make it not too grungy. All right. And the other thing is it's not dropping a very good drop shadow. So I'm actually, on the circle, that part, I'm actually going to add a drop shadow. Double click the layer and add a drop shadow. And drop it to taste, I would say. You know what? Let's not add a drop shadow. Let's add an outer glow. How about that instead? Maybe a drop shadow, but let's do the outer glow first. I'm going to use black, set it to multiply, and let me see. Maybe a little bit. I'm going to set the spread to, say, 10. I'm going to set the size to 60, which seems like a lot, but then I'm going to back it off just a little bit. I want to give the hint of this outer shadow, not too much. Not too much. These things can look a little obnoxious sometimes if you do them wrong. Okay, so outer glow set to, and if I turn it off, you can sort of see it actually helps quite a bit. All right, outer glow looks pretty good. I have it set to 54 for opacity, 10 for spread. Size is at 60. Just make it 60 even. And range 66. That's not too bad. If I turn it off, you can see that it's subtle, but it is working very well. Not too bad. The last thing I want to do is on that wall, I'm going to add a gradient overlay. Let's see what we get. Doesn't really do much for me other than make this thing super dark. What if I did linear and say 90? Alright, so you can see it added black to the top and white below. I'm going to turn it down quite a little bit though. It's a little bit wonky. And maybe adjust the scale just a little bit. Bring it down just a little. Okay, so not too bad. Gives it a little bit of space. I just added a linear gradient. I changed it to linear. Black on top, the white below. Let's try that again because now it's black on top, white below. Let's do 180. I'm sorry, minus 90. There we go. A little bit better. Much better. So minus 90, I got the black on top, the white below. It is a little bit much though. I'm going to bring my opacity down to 50. That'll work. All right. Not too bad. Now it kind of offsets it a little bit. You know, turn this hue and saturation on. I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan of that. But you can see what a hue and saturation adjustment layer does. I'm not an enormous fan of that. I might add one more layer just for jokes and maybe pick a... Let me reset my colors. Let me turn my brush off because that's driving me nuts. Maybe I'll add a couple lights here so it looks like it's backlit a bit. All right, I'm not going to go any further. That's it. You can see what's going on here. All right, everybody, study hard, practice, practice, practice. I do appreciate you watching, and have a good day. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.